So I'm thinking of this message I have to do for chapel at SPTC in a few weeks' time. It's just a few days from Chap Go May. It's the 15th day of Chinese New Year, which is also the Chinese Valentine's Day. Where's the air conditioning? Yeah. And I was thinking about doing, a love story, but actually kind of like a tragedy, a tragic love story. And the reason why I went down this line of thought is because I heard a line at an event yesterday, which was something along the lines of, there is beauty in tragedy. There's beauty in tragedy, or find the beauty in the tragic. And I was thinking, a lot of love is tragic. Yes, we all want that happily ever after ending. But oftentimes what you find in K-dramas, a lot of love stories, is this tragedy whereby it's quite imperfect. The lovers don't quite get together, or like Crash Landing on You, they have to meet once a year in Switzerland, that kind of thing. But I was thinking, at the same time, there's something very beautiful in that, because it makes the love more precious. It makes it all that more valuable. I was wondering if there's a sense of that in the Bible. There's a sense of that in God's love for us, which is why I'm thinking of looking at Hosea and his love for his wife. And those of you who know the book of Hosea, it's a beautiful love story, but it's also a very tragic one, because Hosea is called by God to love his wife who does not love him. And that's a very hard thing to do, but if God commands you to do it, it makes it, I think, harder. And I think there's a kind of like a reflection there of God's love for us, that actually it's not easy for God to love us. It's not at all, well, it's one thing, God is love, but at the same time, it takes sacrifice. It takes a lot of effort on God's part for him to pour out his love towards us. And I think the fact that he tells Hosea to do this means, in some way and form, that's reflected in our love for one another as well, especially as Christians. So that's kind of like the idea in my head, a tragic love story that reflects God's love for us, but also reflects how God redeems that kind of love. Many of us, maybe we are jaded by love. We don't believe that there's such a thing, or we're too afraid. That if we invest ourselves into something like a relationship, or even to God, that what if it doesn't work out? It would just be too painful. And yet, maybe God even uses that kind of fear and that kind of hesitation to point back to his own love for us, and how it's him who pays the cost. It's him who's waiting patiently for us to love him back. That's kind of like the idea. It's for Chap Go May. Again, that's Chap Go May is 24th, so the chapel is on 22nd. It's a Thursday, and I'm going to somehow fit in Star Wars in it. So use some analogy from the most romantic movie of all time, Empire Strikes Back. And so I've called it Chap Go May the Force be with you. And again, it's based on Hosea chapter 3 on a Thursday on 22nd of February. So if you're going to be there, especially if you're an SPTC student, pray for me to write that sermon down. Actually, I wrote most of it earlier on. I was sitting down here in the library, but pray for me to kind of like, prepare and preach it in a way that really encourages us to look at God's love for us.